What's up, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Octavia.Darling. If you're new to this channel, I create content related to my locks, lifestyle, health, and fitness journey. So before we hop into this video, go ahead and give your girl a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so that you can join this community of like-minded women. So in this video, we're going to talk about some common and uncommon loc myths, meaning there may be some that you've heard of before and some that are quite new to you. I thought this would be a cool topic so that we can just discover what people really think about locks. Not that we really care, if you know what I mean. But I'm saying, like, it would be very interesting to really talk about what a common misconception is when it comes to having locks. And speaking of locks, y'all, I have my head wrap on. Well, I have my scarf on right now because I just didn't feel like wearing my bob down in this video since I'll be taking it out today and it's getting kind of old. So I just have on my scarf right now, just a little heads up. But anyways, let's dive in. Okay, so the first myth I want to talk about is the misconception that having locks means that you're dirty. I hear this way too often, and unfortunately I've heard this since I was younger, and I don't know where that misconception was first developed, but being a woman with locks, I can tell you that having locks does not mean that you're a dirty person. Locks are not naturally dirty. Having good hygiene and wearing locks, it just doesn't compare. You can take care of your locks, and there's ways to do that. Now, when it comes to keeping them washed and clean all the time, not everyone does that, but that's your preference. That doesn't mean you're a dirty person. It just means it's a preference. So how you choose to take care of them is your choice. So another myth, which is quite interesting, is the idea that you can naturally form locks overnight. No. Locks take time to fully develop if you're doing it, like the natural way, in the sense of you're not getting instant locks or anything like that. But your hair in general is going to take some time to naturally lock. Now, the time frame for your hair to naturally lock is different for everyone because we all have different hair textures. So you can't really compare your journey to someone else's as far as how long it takes for your hair to lock up. But I will say it's definitely not an overnight thing. If you want it to be an overnight thing, then by all means, instant lock your hair. That way you don't have to wait months or a year for them to mature and to lock up. Do what's best for you, but overall, it's not an overnight thing. Okay, so another popular myth, which I've also heard when I was young, which is crazy to me, is that you can't wash your locks. I don't know why people came up with that freaking misconception and idea and assumption, but that's just dumb. Let's just call it what it is. That's really dumb. At the end of the day, you have locks, but it's also hair. How are we disconnecting the two? Locks doesn't mean that you don't have hair anymore or your hair is not in its natural state. It's hair. It's on your head. It needs to be washed. It needs to be clean. How often you do it, like I've said before, is definitely your preference. But now maybe people would think of that as in, like, if you wash your locks, they'll come out, like, not come out, but you know what I mean? Like they'll unravel or something like that. That might be the case for people who have starter locks, meaning not that you can't wash it, but how frequently you wash your locks because they haven't actually formed yet. So it's like you want to give your hair time to lock up, and you probably want to stretch your washes, but that doesn't mean that your locks can't be washed. So if you heard of that, please just remove that from your mind because locks can definitely be washed. Please wash your locks. And if you want to learn more about my wash day routines, the kind of products I use, I have a few videos on that, and I'll make sure that I link it down below so that you can check it out. But yeah, wash your locks. Oh, so this next one is a really good one because unfortunately, this is what was instilled in my mind when I was a kid, which is honestly one of the main reasons I feared ever locking my hair, because I thought that this was true until before I started my lock journey. I learned that is definitely untrue. This myth is that locks can only be removed if you cut them out. And that's not true, y'all. And I've been learning so much about that thanks to TikTok too. You do not have to cut your locks to remove them. There are ways to actually comb out your locks. And I think this also plays a major part into the way you started your locks as well. So if you started your lock journey with coils, I think it's quite an easy way to just comb it out because it's a coil. If you did it with like a 2-strand twist or brace and stuff like that, I believe that it's easy to just comb it out. Other ways that you may have started your locks, I'm not too familiar with the process of removing them. Maybe you do have to cut them out, or maybe just combing them out would take longer than what you want to experience. But I know that with some of the ways that you have locked your hair, the way that you can remove the locks is by combing them out. Y'all, get on TikTok. I mean, get on YouTube. There's ways that people are removing their locks today. Actually, this is a trend. Now that I think about it, I've been seeing more and more women removing their locks for their personal preferences. And these are women who, started their journey maybe during the pandemic and they realized they just don't want to have locks anymore, or they started a year ago and they realized this is just not for me, it doesn't fit me, and that's okay. But they're combing out their locks. I'm seeing them use like conditioner, and I'm also seeing that it's not an overnight process. So let's go ahead and get that out of the picture. It's not an overnight thing. It definitely takes time. I've seen it take a few weeks. I've seen it take a month or two. It just takes time. And I think that the size of your locks, how locked they truly are, and the time that it takes to remove them all plays a major factor in doing that. If you're thinking about starting your lock journey, then you also do want to consider the way and methods that you use to start your lock journey, if this is something that you don't want long term, so that when it comes to the time that you want to remove them, it's not something that's so stressful on you. When it comes to cutting your locks, I think that that's more so tied to a spiritual preference. And that's because our hair holds energy, you all. I don't know if you were aware of that or if you forgot about that, but our hair does hold a lot of energy, and people normally cut their locks to remove that weight, remove that energy that they no longer want to be attached to them. So if you do decide to cut your locks, that's probably one of the main reasons that you're doing it that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that is not the only way to remove them. You do not have to cut them out to remove them. So yeah. Moving along, another myth is that dreadlocks are naturally heavy and uncomfortable. When it comes to this, I really believe that it all plays on how long your locks truly are, how small they are as well, because smaller locks can be a little bit heavier on your neck, on your head. Yeah, I don't think that dreadlocks are just naturally heavy. So like for me, for example, my locks are a little bit past bra length right now, and they're not like heavy on my head. They're also not large, they're not medium. I want to say they're kind of like medium. In the next video, I'll make sure I show y'all my locks again, but I want to say they're kind of like medium. The only time that I do feel a little tension on my neck when it comes to my locks is when I wash them or I'm swimming or something, because it's water. Water is going to weigh your hair down, even if you don't have locks. So the idea that locks overall is just a heavy hairstyle is totally not true. you're thinking about starting your loc journey, keep that in mind as well when it comes to the size of your locks and how long you want them to be. Think long term or in the future, in the sense of, you know, when they get to my waist, is it going to be a problem for me to maintain? Is it going to be straining my neck? And, you know, things like that. But it's just not naturally heavy. I can already tell this video, like when I'm editing it, I'm sure I'm going to be cracking up at the facial expressions I'm making, because I can feel me doing a lot of facial expressions. But moving along, there's only 2 more myths that I do want to, you know, debunk. And the next one is going to be that wearing dreads is a sign of rebellion. No, and I think that this kind of misconception was created for, you know, the corporate world when it comes to what locs represents. And I'm gonna have to do my research because I can't go too deep into this topic, but I will say that allowing your natural hair to just lock up is a form of rebellion. I don't see how that correlates at all. If you know more about that, please comment it down below, because I would love to dive deeper on this topic. But for me, as a person with locs, I didn't get locs to rebel. I got locs because it was a personal, spiritual preference where I was in life at the time. It's just something that I felt led to do. Not going against the grain or anything like that, if there is even a grain. But coming from a person who's had a relaxer, who, you know, started her natural hair journey when she was out of college and experienced her natural texture, then decided to get locs, you know, it's all about where you're at in life and what you feel fits you best with where you're at. So I don't think it's fair to associate the two, because in my opinion, they don't compare. All right, so for the last myth, it pretty much compares to the myth of, you know, the only way to remove locs is to just cut them out. But for this one, it's the idea that locs are permanent. So as I've said before, and I often say, I believe in my videos, locs are not permanent. They are not. So you have the option of removing them. Now, people who do get locs, normally, not everyone, but normally people who get locs, they do think long term. You know, they do think of like, this is my permanent style, and they have reasons behind that. For me personally, I wanted to start my loc. Hold on guys, I'm getting a call. Hi love. Filming. What's up, babe? Just to close out this video, I forgot where I left off at, but I will say, as I mentioned before, locs are not permanent and you can remove them. You don't have to cut them out. You can comb them out. There's a lot of different techniques that you can use. So that will end the video for today. Thank y'all for tuning in. Before we go, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and also make sure that you share this video with others. We are on the road to 1K subscribers, y'all. We are so close. So make sure that you are subscribing when you're watching my videos, so that you don't miss out when I post a new one. Okay, so I hope you all have a lovely week, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.